Next up, we have Tommy with Musashi. Musashi, are you there?
I am. How are we doing today?
We're doing great. We're talking all about rebuilding the world in a better way.
It's a good day.
It's a good day. Um, do you have slides, or are one of you going to be on camera?
Yeah, I'm gonna show a screen share, at least of our website here.
Okay, I can see it. Yeah,
Let me
please make
just.
sure to introduce yourself, let people know who you are, and feel free to jump into Revesture.
All right, Tommy, you wanna start us off?
Yeah, I just sent you a nice image you can make your profile pic as if you want. So Revesture was born out of the Refi DAO hackathon that started on Earth Day. That's where we met the lovely people that we were just speaking with. Um, we participated in a challenge that had to do with NFTs and carbon credits, and so ideally, or as you might expect, our first solution was, oh, well, let's make a marketplace, an NFT marketplace for carbon offsets. And then you notice, well, that's what everyone's going to try to do. Okay, so how can we maybe branch out from that? We looked around at the people we had working on the project and realized a lot of us were working already in building different metaverses and 3D environments. And that if we kind of chose that niche, maybe we could expand and kind of create a fun doorway for people to engage with carbon offsets. So Musashi here works with Moloch Digital, um, and maybe you can pick up from there.
Yeah. So, Moloch Digital is a build group. Um, we started off in Neos, and now we're branching out to other metaverses. We're building something called Moloch Cloudship, which is kind of a, a connection space for DAOs and other organizations to collaborate, work together in. Um, and Moloch Digital is teaming up with Revesture to make sure that everything we do on our cloud chip, everything that we build within all of these metaverses, the metaverses that we build are themselves, and including even the blockchains or the contracts that we might be using, um, all of our assets, all of our um, transactions are covered ecologically. So we're covering our carbon footprint from the use of the blockchain, the energy that we require to do the transactions that we do, and we're utilizing regenerative projects at the same time.
Yeah, and so part of our roadmap is to integrate with things such as Giveth and be able to have splits within the NFTs go directly to regenerative projects. So not only are we bundling carbon credits as we all figure out the best way to do that, as we discussed just a little bit ago, but we're also looking to donate directly to projects that are making the impact, that are on the ground doing the things already. So the more that we can immediately, with or without someone saying, hey, this is a carbon credit that's doing this, the more that we can immediately give it to the projects that are doing it, um, the faster we see the impact happening. And by making it a little more gamified and playful, maybe we can gather more interest and reach out to those larger corporations and the larger players that are creating the impact, that are creating maybe some of the largest negative impact, to buy something or to engage with the carbon market, the carbon credit market, in a fun way for their whole organization. So I don't know, some examples could be, we're having on Sunday here, we're having a streamed global dance party from Life Live DAO. And if it's streaming actual people, but if we had a metaverse counterpart of it, and we made a bunch of MetaFest 2 sunglasses that we gifted out to you, and you could throw on your avatar as you come in. All of those sunglasses could already be carbon offsets, so the organization could buy this bundle pack and then be able to engage their employees or their organization into a new world, into playing with more things, kind of, yeah, creating a new bridge that's not just I need to buy carbon offsets. Let me click here and calculate what I owe. Okay, here's my card number. Okay, thanks. I'm clear. I've done my part as a human. Um, but actually, kind of play with it some more and make it so it's just kind of happening with what you're already doing and what you're already having fun doing. Um, take the dryness out of it a little bit. On our website here, we have some voxels that were created by some various metagamers and Moloch Digital crew that uh, are attached to carbon offsets originally through Toucan Protocol. We were using the auto offset helper, similar to what Trace was talking about, and also looking for new solutions as things are on pause with Vera. The tech side of things will be, ideally, we'll have a really clean interface that allows you to choose from a couple of curated projects on something similar to Giveth or such as Giveth, that you can set your splits to on your revenue and royalty splits to right at the time of minting. We would like to create a curated marketplace, so encouraging more communities that want to do things, as I mentioned in the panel, like planning eco villages. Say you want to model a geodesic dome, you want to model a solar panel, you want to model a windmill, a turbine, something like this, right? And you want to showcase how you would put it onto your plot of land. Each one of these models could already have carbon offsets, can already be donating to regenerative projects, and in the future, even, we could team up with people like Moloch Digital and do training exercises. So say you want to teach a volunteer crew how to put together a geodesic dome before they arrive on site. Uh, it's not going to be exactly the same, but it's very helpful to know that you have 3 sets of bars, they hinge together this way, et cetera, et cetera. First tighten these ones, next tighten those ones. And knowing all the information before you get there just saves time, saves saves resources, saves labor. And so expanding into things like that, where we are just we're just a doorway. We're just a doorway for people to work on their projects and to know that they're already doing good just by being there. Maybe you have more to touch on that, Musashi.
Yep. So something we're doing in Moloch Digital is we're building this cloud chip that connects a bunch of communities together, but it's built in such a way that um, we see a lot of guilds sprouting up that will serve DAOs. There already are guilds that serve DAOs, but we see it kind of becoming a more of a thing in the future, kind of DAO, service DAOs, um, serving all the other communities, businesses in their niche skill set. So we've kind of built the infrastructure for that on Mullet Cloud Ship, both kind of physically in world, and also kind of like the tech stack and the flow. Um, and part of that is, I'm big on permaculture, just like Tommy is, just like Penguin is, just like a lot of people that you're seeing today. It's how a lot of us connected together, not just through Web3 technology, but our passions, what our morals and our ethos kind of line up together. And you know, we're I do a lot of permaculture design. Um, I do a lot of permaculture design implementation on lands all over the U.S. and some in Haiti, a little bit in Mexico. And you know, if you really want to design something properly, that's going to, permaculture is agriculture, it's gardening, but with a with a permanent mindset. So the idea is if I do something right the first time, hopefully I will not have to touch it or have minimal inputs after that. And so we take a lot of um, our structures from nature, building out food forests and basically just mimicking what nature does because they do it because nature does it best. But a part of that is, it takes time to really see the flow of things on the land, to know what to do, to know the seasonal rains and where the water flows in a heavy flood year. That might take me years to figure these things out. And so, we're now able to take some of these um, models. Like, I've been experimenting with using NASA geospatial data and satellite mappings from like Google and things like that, and applying them to meshes um, in Blender, and basically getting an exact terrain of a specific coordinates on Earth. And it actually be the real. I've managed the third layer of that now is I've managed to add the oceanographic um, data. So we've got the seafloor data, we've got the physical geological terrain data all applied to this mesh. So we can bring it into Neos. Take, say Penguin, if you bought a piece of land, and say it's a 300-acre property, and you're really wanting to design a self-sustainable eco village. And a part of that is, you need to know where your buildings need to go. You need to know where your food and your trees and things need to go that you're not going to want to ever change again, hopefully for generations. And so what we would do is we would take your coordinates, we would apply all that data, get your exact terrain, drop it into a world like in Neos. That's where I've been experimenting in. And then we can run simulations on your land that we wouldn't be able to normally. It might not be perfect, but we would be able to simulate things that we wouldn't be able to um, observe unless we spend a great deal of time. And that includes generations worth of data, large events that maybe happened, earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, flooding events, all these things that happen like once every so many hundred or even thousands of years. We can simulate that, and we can decide, hey, is this a smart move? What we're doing here with our design.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that toaster didn't just hit you. It sounded like someone threw something across the room. But yeah, I completely agree with that. I think that expanding and you talked about doing some drone coverage too, right? And being able to map out lands. I remember when we were talking um, when we were talking on the podcast interview, we talked about, well, what happens if you're simulating that build and a rattlesnake comes up? Like, how do you prepare for that? And I remember we mentioned that, in Neos right now, there's certain things that you've created that you can pick up this coffee cup and drink it, and it'll change your avatar. It'll change your avatar into somebody else. It kind of reminds me of the old Snickers commercial where there's a linebacker, or Betty White actually is driving a car, and then it's all filled with linebackers from football, and then they hand her a Snickers bar, and she eats it, and she turns back into the linebacker. And I always think about that with the Neos and like the coffee. So if you had certain things, you had this rattlesnake there, and it bit you. Maybe vision goes blurry and stuff for a second. And so um, finding ways to engage with that, I think is really cool. Or tomorrow there's a digital fashion show from Rawdow, and if we could make some of their digi-physical fashion also into carbon offset wearables, or into wearables that are donating to regenerative projects, um, maybe things that are going to textile industry, which has a lot of problems with it, um, and produces a lot of carbon. So, it's great to have a digital version of this clothing, but when you step into physical things and you're printing clothes across the globe and you're shipping them on boats, and then you get your fancy T-shirt for your DevCon or whatever, it's like we need to find better solutions for that too, right? And if we don't have better solutions for that yet, then we should at least be covering our carbon for all these things that we do. Um, it could be event tickets that are something that you can engage with in the metaverse. A lot of us are traveling across the world now to meet each other in person, all these ETH conferences and all these different things. And how do we deal with that impact that we're causing, and whose responsibility is it, and how can we all work together to make it as easy and transparent as possible to show that we're aware. you know um, I think that's one one of the gaps that we're trying to fill. But we also, as Joe was saying and as Trace was saying in the panel, like, it's really exciting to have all these projects being birthed in similar times and being able to kind of work together and stack all the Lego pieces, and being able to uh, not have to reinvent every wheel, but say, oh, if we take this part and this part and this part and we put it together, okay, we have something cool. We can work with this. We can offer our thing to this project, and we can expand ideas here to here. And it's really exciting to see the collaborative aspect of that really making everyone excel really, really fast, in my opinion, for a lot of these newer projects. So. Ah, yes, for artists in the process. So this is where we were wrestling. We were birthed out of a hackathon project. So during a hackathon, as you may know, you don't have a very long period of time to come up with what you're doing, and to work out all the what ifs and the kinks, and to get a somewhat MVP up in time to show people. So we came to the question of, well, how do we curate this marketplace? How do we keep it to the vision and mission that we want? And we decided maybe one route would be to have a community-owned marketplace that is a DAO, so that artists could invite each other in by already being there, by some of the artists that we already have on our team that created the voxels floating around in the background there, and some other ones as well. And being able to kind of bring on a project or an artist one by one, and keeping a certain feel to the overall project, rather than making kind of an open profile, anyone signs up and goes, but with the idea that we all own the marketplace too. So within every NFT, within the splits that are going to carbon credits and regenerative projects, there could be splits to the artist or the DAO as well. It kind of also came up in a way where, when we were looking to donate to something directly through, say, Giveth, it wasn't yet compatible with us, but we're working on the Polygon. Right now, Giveth doesn't allow Polygon. So we were trying to come up with a alternative, and one of the alternatives was to possibly take a cut from the NFT that goes to a fund within the DAO, and then the DAO can, from there, bridge funds to, say, Gnosis, and donate from there, do one big bridge, and then be able to delegate through a Gnosis multisig and donate to Giveth projects. or directly from the Polygon, just directly donate to projects if we can manage that through voting within the DAO, rather than leaving it on the user that's purchasing the NFT to choose the project that it's donating to. Leave it up to the creators and choose collectively, and maybe do larger sums for fewer projects rather than just $5 spread everywhere, which is great too if we're doing things like Hitcoin grant and quadratic funding. So there's a lot of options out there of how we can shuffle around the money and make the impact in the strongest way or the easiest way. Musashi, are you there?
I am. Sorry about that. I had quite a bit of noise. I'm in a communal space right now to have better internet connection. So sometimes I have kids running in and out.
It's like you're living what we're talking about.
Sometimes. Yeah, so some of the things I'm most excited about, you kind of mentioned training and education. Really love the opportunities right now and the abilities that we have within some of these metaverses that we've already touched on. But one of those being like the drone guild, which I think is going to be a huge career for people, is to be a drone operator in the future. I mean, it's already a great niche career to get into right now, but obviously going to be an exploding market in the future. And so working with people like Blockchain Relics with Terry Kilby, and they're going into places like lower income neighborhoods of more 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 of the niche type of groups, um, and helping them to educate them how to run a drone, how to operate a drone, teaching them how to get a job, how to build their portfolio as a drone operator, whether that's photography, videography, mapping. There's all sorts of things, or especially the really cool thing that Terry does with Blockchain Relics is he travels all over the world and in high fidelity 3D scans, basically historical monuments or historical settings that may be destroyed in the future. And especially he's honing in on those places and those monuments that are more at risk of disappearing in this very moment. And so it's taking those, scanning them, and then putting them on the blockchain forever and making them available to the public, not only to be able to see forever, but to be able to even interact with it. And he's doing a lot of fun stuff with AR and even doing some interesting social activities, social experiments with placing some controversial historical monuments that have been destroyed in controversial places. And it's kind of making some really interesting artistic statements. I really love what they're doing, but especially I'm especially interested on the educational side of it. I see these drone operators, this drone guild being able to do scouting for finding more high impacted environmental locations. So finding places that are becoming desertified, not just using like satellite imagery or boots on the ground, walking around on the ground, but having that kind of in between layer with the drones to get that the better detail of what's going on in our environment, and also utilizing the drones to do like environmental impact validation. There's a lot of things that you can validate from aerial photography and videography that you can't really verify with numbers. but I can clearly see from even satellite imagery how, one island of Dominica was treated one way on one side and one way on another. And one side is, mud flowing out into the ocean, and the other is very green and doesn't have anything flowing out in the ocean. So uh, being able to utilize those guilds to identify these regions and the impact we're having on the environment, and especially when we're talking about making that change, Revesture kind of added this layer where, Clima, kind of stopped double spending and different things that were happening in the carbon industry, helped to have a better verifiable um, on-chain experience for that. And Toucan kind of helped, add value to that. So they're beginning to see the rise in the value of good energy, or good offsets, or regenerative projects. But we wanted to see this further. The last step was not being incentivized enough to actually burn those NCTO or NTO, TCO2 tokens, and actually initiate the change in the world. The trees actually get planted, the pasture get restored. So we wanted to incentivize that last step.
Yeah, and this is kind of a good segue for a question that Grace asked in the YouTube chat of not sure understanding what retirement means, and the connection between what you do on chain and what happens in the real world for the carbon asset. So I don't know, maybe you can try to explain that simply and clearly, Musashi, of the whole burning, retiring. I know sometimes retirement and burning seems to be interchanged, between the nature carbon ton credits to the TCO2s to the actual certificate of carbon sequestration.
Yeah, so like ClimateDAO has base carbon tons and they have nature carbon tons. They have other types of carbon tokens coming out. And basically, the protocol, you're able to mint these tokens. What they represent are actual carbon tokens in the real world environment that have been sequestered somehow, some way. People buy them, and then they are able to farm them, or they were able to sell them. But the nature carbon tons can be basically burned into an NFT, which are called TCO2 tokens. And these can be further burned to actually make that action happen, that last step. I could probably get further into the actual mechanics of the protocols, but that would probably be a lot longer conversation and probably better for the actual protocols to explain.
Yeah, and I think people like Trace will touch on it in a little bit with his presentation for CO2 Coal as well. As far as Revesture and what does Revesture even mean, on our screen share there, vesture is a bit of an old English word for a garment or something like a garment, like a vest, for example, or a vesture of a cloud or fog, caressing a hillside. It's also in law, it's everything except for trees that grow on land, a product of the land, such as grass, wheat, etc. So for us, we're kind of combining all these concepts together, and we Wanted to surprise you today with a nice gift, but we might have to collect some addresses or ping you afterwards and give you a nice NFT uh, safety vest. A Revesture safety vest is on its way. We were unable to finish it today, but we can hopefully get it out to you by the end of the festival. Musashi, I think we're at wrapping ends here, slash possibly covering some
Michael
space.
has not had a chance to check back in with us. So
Gotcha.
after his technical difficulties before, and we're having trouble reaching him. So, if you have a little bit more you'd like to go into, you're welcome to. Um, Otherwise, we might take a small break.
Do we have any questions?
I'm looking at main stage chat. I did see in YouTube, it doesn't look like there's anything new coming in. No, mostly just keep an eye on us. You can visit us on our website here at revesture.earth. We are expanding quickly after this hackathon and figuring out how to put together all these Lego pieces, and are excited to start working with projects like blockchain relics and some eco-village projects throughout the East Coast and Central America, and yeah, see how we can keep this thing going. If anyone has any ideas or wants to contribute, if you're a 3D model artist and you have some cool, you're a voxel builder, or you work with Blender, or you're familiar with Neos, then tap on our shoulder. We would love to incorporate you into what we're doing and have some fun with it. We're hoping to, in the future, work with projects such as Metafactory and Raw DAO and do some digiphysical aspects of our projects as well. And shout out to Luxumbra for building this beautiful website.
I was actually going to ask about the website. I love the design. It reminds me, parts of it remind me a lot of like Katamari with how playful it is.
Yeah, there's an Easter egg hidden in there, and also all of those floating logos. Which shout out to Bogey for doing some Blender Genie magic, who's also our stream master right now. If you click on those floating links, they also send you some places. Or don't click on ours because that'll send you right back here, I think. We threw a Lego in there because we used the Lego word. I think the Lego one just goes to a disclaimer saying we have no association to Lego. And also it goes to a VR builder actually that Lego came out with. So you can do VR building with Lego now, which is pretty cool. Just a little side bit in there. I guess we can also mention Third Web. So Third Web was really useful for us in putting together some of our smart contracts, and it was easy to integrate with Toucan Protocol and their auto offset helper, and we were able to come up with the marketplace in a relatively short period of time. So if you haven't checked out Third Web, it's a very useful, up and coming, easy to use UI collection of Lego contracts to work with. Yeah,
Definitely reach out if you're about that Earth you live on.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. I love the how playful this is. I know I said that it reminds me of Katamari, but I think having fun and engaging artists for the cause and engaging these new tools like crypto voxels and Neos are different ways that we can actually like have fun with some of these experiences. So
exactly.
Yeah, thanks so much for building new ways that people can engage and learn about helping the environment and reinvesting in the future.
Absolutely. If we can't have fun doing it, then it's just work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we always say at Metagame, right? It's about having fun together. It's about common purpose and accomplishing stuff. So yeah, getting together for things like MetaFest and having a chance to share our opinions and work together is one of the reasons that I enjoy coming to work every day, talking to all of you, talking to you, and working Taco Dow all the way, man.
Taco Dow. Yeah.
Taco Dow.
We actually created a taco stand with Moloch Digital. And you may have seen the taco cart within the promo video. Taco Dow's infiltrated a little bit. We'll get some taco NFTs out here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, thanks again.